Just about 2 months ago, I made the decision to completely deconstruct my switching layout, simply because I just didn't like it anymore. Of course, I did learn a tremendous amount in those 6 months of building this layout, but with a new one in the back of my mind, I knew it was time to start over and apply what I've learned to a brand new HO scale model railroad. And that finally brings us to today. The layout build series is finally back after a couple months of planning and also saving money because I knew it was going to be pretty expensive to start again. Anyways, it's nice to be back. I do want to thank you guys for sticking around and even messaging me about what's going on since I was absent for a while. And of course, I do want to thank anyone that is new to the channel as well. There is a good amount to cover and even unbox in today's episode, so let's get started. Let's begin with the dimensions. The layout is broken up into 4 separate sections that are attached together. First one is 10 by 3 feet. The next one is a 2 by 3.5 feet section. The next one is a little bit smaller at 2 by 3 feet wide. And lastly, the large section on the right is 10 by 2 feet wide. So in total, the size of the entire layout is 10 by 7 feet wide. The entire layout so far is only made up of 3 materials. 2x3s, which are used for the framing on each section and also used for the legs. 15/32 OSB sheathing as the base. And I went with that because I had some left over from the previous layout. Then the stuff on top is 1-inch thick pink insulation foam, and I ended up buying 2 8x4 sheets for this project. Here's a quick glance of what it looks like underneath. The total height is a little bit over 43 inches tall. For me, this was a good working height, which allows me to reach pretty much all areas of the layout. As for my power, I'll still be using my NCE Power Cab starter set, and I do highly recommend it if you do want to get into DCC. It does come with everything you need, and I shouldn't need anything else since this is a pretty normal sized layout. Of course, I will go into more detail about this in a later episode. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the benchwork, at least for now. I will be using most of the buildings from before, with the exception of a few. I will be buying a lot more new kits for this layout as I figure out the scenery a little bit more. The table with the buildings on it won't be there for too long, but this one with all the scenery on it will stay there. Once all the benchwork was done, I had to hit up my hobby store to get some track, cork road bed, and some other goodies. This hobby town in Broomfield, Colorado has a good selection, and they just had about everything I needed to get started. Definitely a good amount of freight cars to choose from too. Luckily, they did have a good amount of cork road bed in stock. Sadly, they didn't have any turnouts, so I ended up getting those on eBay. So this is what I got. 10 pieces of Atlas Code 100 Flex Track, 2 packs of Atlas rail joiners at $5 a pack, almost a full box of cork road bed by Midwest Products Company, another Walther's Cornerstone Prairie Co-op for my sugar mill, and some medium gray blend ballast by Woodland Scenics. Luckily, I was able to save all my turnouts from my last layout. These ones still need some cleaning to get some of that old ballast off though. The rest of the turnouts are all clean, and I also have 4 more pieces of flex track that I had in storage. When you do start a layout, these guys do add up extremely fast at $20 a piece. And this is what we have so far to start with until the mail comes. A few days later, we do finally get our packages. Of course, they do have to be sniffed out by my little buddy here. The first package isn't super exciting, but it's still very important. As you can tell, these are more Atlas switches that I said I was going to get off of eBay. These are all right hand ones, but I did also order a couple left ones that just haven't arrived yet. Now for the more fun box that I got from Lombard Hobbies. First up are some Caboose Industries manual throw switches for the turnouts, which I will show more in depth in the next episode. Another TTX High-Q boxcar by Walther's Mainline. A Atheron Genesis Golden West Service boxcar, which I will show in more detail here in a moment. The last thing is a Pike Stuff kit that will be used as my engine facility. Before we do move on, I do want to show the Atheron Genesis boxcar in better detail, and also the Walther's boxcar too. This thing, I will say, is extremely detailed, and probably my new favorite freight car in my collection now. It's pretty much on par with all scale trains models, and for the price, I think it's well worth it, especially if you're into details. Lombard's price was about 42 bucks, which isn't that bad considering the quality of it. And it has that safety tape that I love to see. The Walther's Mainline isn't as detailed, but it is half the price. But honestly, for the cost, it's quite amazing still, and if you're buying a lot of cars, this is probably the way to go. So that's pretty much all the goodies and stuff I've gotten the last couple of weeks to start the new layout. As you can tell, I've already laid out some track and also some switches to kind of get a feel of what it's going to look like. I did also get the inside of the layout all painted with that chalk paint that I use. But the outside isn't going to be painted just yet because I do plan to put up a fascia. I did also paint 10 of the 12 legs with the chalk paint, and obviously there's still 2 left that need to be done in the right corner. If you are curious, I do get this chalk paint from the Dollar Tree. So far I've only used about 4 bottles to do this. So here is my small collection of freight cars and my GP40-2 that will pretty much be here till I get the yard done. I also got this cheap Burlington Northern boxcar that I found at the thrift store a while back. I did try weathering it a little bit just to kind of learn how to do it, and well, obviously I still have a little bit more to learn. But hey, it's my first time. The other side will pretty much be storage until we get more progress done. Alright, now let's get into the track and the track plans. Like I maybe said before, the track I'm going to be using is Atlas Code 100 track. I did consider using Code 83 track because in my opinion it does look a little bit more realistic, but because I already have tons of turnouts that are already Code 100, I decided to save some money and just stick with those instead. This curve that you're looking at is actually just smaller pieces of track that won't be used. These are simply a reference to make sure I have at least a 22-inch radius. Once I am ready, I will tack down some flex track instead, purely to have a better electricity flow. So for those who want to know the exact turnouts on the layout, it's these ones right here. Code 100 right manual snap switch number 861, and the left version is number 860. These are what all my turnouts are on the layout, with the exception of one. And just so you know, this price tag right here is actually not what I paid for it, it's more closer to double. Here are my actual track plans. I know some of you suggested AnyRail or some kind of track planning program, but I kept it simple and I just drew out some until I was happy with one of them. Later on I do plan to do it on a program just so you guys have a more official track plan. The left side of the layout is pretty much complete, but the right side is still being decided on, and that's pretty much why that side only has a main line for now. In my binder here you can see that I went through about 4 different plans until concluding on this one here. I drew a question mark since it's not decided yet on this side. So hopefully after seeing my plan with this side, you can kind of understand what's going on a little bit better. The yard is going to have one runaround with 4 total stub end tracks. The turnout here on the far right is for the 2 tracks that will go by the sugar mill. And somewhere in the middle over here, the yard track and the sugar mill track will flow back into the main line. If it doesn't make sense now, it will later on once I actually get some track down. This episode I won't be laying down any track just yet. I just wanted to explain my ideas and sort of show a visual of what I have planned. To get a better idea of what I'm doing, I'm just laying down some track to kind of get a feel of what's going to look like. There will be a switch right here behind this one, so I'm going to unbox a new one right now. Each pack comes with some rail joiners, screws that I never use, same with this little piece. And here's the switch. It has this big bulky thing that manually kind of throws the switch, but I never use these because of the look. Luckily, they do come off easily. I'll be using these more realistic throw switches once we get to that point. Oh yeah, and you do get a small piece of track with it as well. That's where I plan to put the turnout. And that will go to our first industry, which will be the sugar mill. Here's one final look at the plans that I cannot wait to get started on. So we are coming to the end of the first episode. The next one will be a little bit more organized, I promise you. This one was a little bit everywhere. And plus I am just getting over a cold, so I might sound a little bit different. Anyways, I do appreciate you guys watching very much. It does mean a lot to me. And I thank you guys for actually sticking around this last 2 months. I know it was a long time, especially for me, without a layout. But now we are good, and of course I do plan to keep uploading constant videos of updates and pretty much what I'm doing, just like the last layout build series. So on that note, I want to say again, thank you guys for watching. It does mean a lot. And of course, I will see you guys hopefully soon in the very next episode.